Hi there.
Alright.
This is the second fic I'm recording today. I got a different friend this time. You want to say hi, Blaze?
Hi.
I kidnapped them from a public call, okay?
Yes, please help.
They're not here against their will, I promise. Anyway, this is actually technically a scene twist in this fic. So it's like, so if you're actually listening to the full series, A Cat's Paws, well, to be exact, the first part of the series that I've been podficking lately, this is technically would be a prelogue, but was never written in. So it's not exactly canon, but kind of would be canon if he was awake. I don't know how to explain it. It's a scene twist though, kind of like fics that like take a canon scene and just twist it on its head. Example like overhaul scene, instead of Mirio getting hit with the quirk erasing bullet, Izuku got hit. That's a twist. Similar idea, except it's for the fic. Basically. Okay? Um, that's the whole gist of this. I did start a poll up, so I do want you to go take a look at that. Remember, recommendations, please go put it in the recommendation thing in my post. It makes it easier to find these. Or if you know my Discord, I'm chill with you DMing me it. Honestly, I don't give a shit. I actually had a random viewer DM me my own channel. It's like, is this you? And I'm like, yes. It was very funny. Similar with them sending me a fic I found the day before. Really funny scenario, honestly. Anyway, I'm going to read the tags now, and you get the. Oh, wait, fuck. I forgot to show the permission. Let me show the permission first. The permission's kind of weird, because I got the series permission on Discord. So, you get the weird Discord fucking, Discord showcase here. This is the author's Discord. It is going to be in the description. You can see I added them, and I was like debating your own podfics, but the series. So yeah, they said yeah. So that's the permission to this. It is also on the next part, like the first part of the actual series. I'm going to put this in front of the others, because technically, canonically, it is in front. But if you don't care about the scene twist, you could skip this one shot and actually get to the main series. But for now, let's get. Wait, did I read the tags? I don't think I read the tags. Okay, Genfic, what do you expect from me? Azawa Shoda is the only character. He is the only one that appears. Okay? Animal transformation. Cat Azawa Shoda. I am going to say Eraserhead because there's a lot of Eraserhead tags here. And holy fuck, I don't want to kill my throat. Eraserhead is so done. Tired Eraserhead. Hurt Eraserhead. Nezu hates cats. Undercover. Kinda. Hit by a quirk. Eraserhead gets hit by a quirk. Eraserhead needs a break. But not like this, lol. Paranoid Eraserhead. Competent Eraserhead. Unfortunately, at the moment, he's a cat. Okay, this is an alternate path, in brackets, for Cat's Paws only, by CrouchingTiger28. Summary. He ran his fingers through his hair, and his head caught on something large and soft on his head, and he could feel his hand rubbing against the ears? Horns? Some kind of brand new heteromorphic quirk factor? The bathroom was only a few meters away, and he silently opened the door just in time to catch a glimpse of himself with soft triangular cat ears. Then the pain hit. Oh, we got our daily Discord notification. Or Azawa wakes up at 2 in the morning just in time to spontaneously transform into a cat. Let's get on to the fic. Shota didn't sleep very deeply, unless he was in his own house, in his own bed, or had people he trusted around him. He was relatively easy to wake. In the dorm parent suite built into the back of the 1A Heights Alliance building, he could only get technically he described as sleep. He never felt properly rested when he slept in Heights Alliance, but it had been easier to crash at UA than to try and make it all the way home last night. So Shota woke sometime around 2 in the morning, disoriented and confused, with only vaguely familiar ceiling above him, and no idea what had woken him. There wasn't anyone knocking on his door, and he couldn't hear footsteps or even the TV volume turned almost off. He didn't hurt anywhere. The room seemed a bit brighter than usual, but that was probably just his wonky, sleep-deprived perception lying to him. Same with how everything around him looked kind of hazy and almost surreal. Colors muted and edges blurring into each other. Should have blinked muzzily at the ceiling and closed his eyes, trying to go back to sleep. He shifted, turning onto his side. And that was when something finally clicked as not quite right. There was something wrong with his spine. It felt weird. There wasn't really a good word Shota could use to describe it. Just weird. Maybe a bit too flexible. Not painful at all, but kind of stretchy. It didn't even strain when he turned his shoulder all the way to the side, but it left his hips flat. Shota finally gave in and sat up, rubbing his face and trying to pinpoint exactly what was different. He ran his fingers through his hair, and his hand caught on something large and soft on his head. And he could feel his hand rubbing against the ears? Horns? Some kind of brand new heteromorphic quirk factor? Throwing his legs over the side of the bed, should have shoved his feet into his slippers and pushed himself upright. The bathroom was only a few meters away, and he silently opened the door just in time to catch a glimpse of himself with soft, triangular cat ears. Then the pain hit. Sean knew what it felt like to dislocate a joint. He also knew what it felt like to have a joint forcefully snapped in the exact opposite direction to the one it was supposed to move. This felt a whole lot more like the latter. His skin was boiling and itching at the same time, seething with fire ant bites. His bones creaked and groaned as they splintered and rearranged. Every single one of his limbs felt like it was yanked off and haphazardly slammed back on. His muscles twitched and tendons strained, and it and what felt like hours later, Shota lay panting on his side, staring at the half-open bathroom door. That was an experience he very much wished he had been still been asleep for. Should have peeled himself up off the bathroom floor and trotted to his feet. He was definitely quadrupedal now, about the right size for a cat, and covered in black fur. He couldn't see the mirror anymore, and he didn't dare try to jump up onto the vanity, not with the coronation of a newborn kitten. He fumbled and fell over half a dozen times before making it back to the bed. That, too, was a daunting obstacle, easily 3 or 4 times his height, and the blankets hanging off of it might have been enough for a real cat to claw their way up, but Shota could barely stand up on the flat ground properly. Okay? Current objective: contact Coda. If he made it to the stairwell, he could definitely climb the stairs. It would just take some effort. The problem would be getting to the stairwell, which would entail getting out of his suites and into the main Height Alliance common room, then through another door to the stairwell itself, and then out of the stairwell through another door. Maybe the stairwell was the wrong call. Coda would definitely leave the building in the morning for class, which meant all Shota really had to do was get out of the building himself, and he could wait in the bushes by the door for Coda to show up. Easy. Small problem. The windowsill was also 3 or 4 times his height. Never before had Shota felt daunted by the height of a windowsill. Logically, he was in a cat's body, and a cat could easily make that jump. Shota had seen his own cats, one of which was definitely smaller than his current form, make much tougher jumps. That didn't mean he could make it. Shota started with the bed, around the same height, but a softer surface to slam face first into, which he did several times. By the time he'd managed to constantly make it onto the bed, Shota was thoroughly fed up and wanted nothing more than to go back to sleep, even if he had to do it as a cat. Surely, if he didn't show up for class, someone would come looking for him. They'd see that his ID card had been scanned to let him onto campus. Someone would check his suite in Heights Alliance, and he'd be fine. But Shota was known for bringing home cats and legendary for his soft spot for quirk cats. And there was nothing Nezu hated more than cats on campus. There was a good chance whoever found him would instantly boot him off campus for good, regardless of how much Shota protested, and likely even if he flashed a racer at them. So Shota had to get out the window, which he did. He made it to the windowsill after only 2 failed attempts, and with a smartening nose, he clawed his way through the window screen and dropped onto the ground outside. Next, just bushes. Coda, and he'd be done. Wrap up this whole adventure in a few hours and call it good. Shota had approximately 20 minutes of peace and quiet in the bushes before he was prodded by a sharp-edged shadow. Gideon the plants, Dark Shadow whispered like a horror movie monster, and Shota would deny it to his dying day, but he practically jumped out of his skin. He knew intellectually that Dark Shadow could talk, but she'd hardly ever spoken to anyone but Tokiyami. And then there was nothing more terrifying than hearing a giant bird-shaped shadow made of knives whisper that she'd found you in the middle of the night like a demon straight from hell where you were the approximate the size of a half-eaten loaf of bread. A cat? Kitty, Dark Chow confirmed mournfully. You know the rules about cats, Ray, Tokiyami said, almost gently. Let's get the poor thing off campus before Nensu-sensei sends the security bots on it. On the one hand, Shota would not like to face Nezu's security bots, as he was now. On the other hand, Coda was on campus, and didn't like leaving it. Shota could only linger around the front gates for so long before Nezu sicked security on him anyway. Unfortunately, there wasn't really anything Shota could do about it. Not with Dark Shadow big enough even in the dark to completely engulf him in her claws. Scratching and biting didn't do anything to the solid shadow creature, and Erasure, even when he activated it, didn't pause her for a second. Neither of them could even see his red eyes, because Dark Shadow curled her huge talon hands around him like a cage, instead of picking him up like a normal person. Shadow was deposited on the other side of the campus walls, and he blinked up at Dark Shadow's retreating form. "Bye, kitty," she said almost mournfully as she retracted back over the wall where Tokuyami was presumably waiting for her. "Wait!" Should have called desperately, but the came out as a frantic "No!" That made the security camera swing towards him. Nope. Shota was going somewhere else before Nezu's security system kicked in properly. If he could figure out how to climb a building, he could wait a block or two away from UA's main entrance and still be able to see when Coda left. If Coda left. Shota trotted around the perimeter of UA's immense walls, keeping careful track of the cameras that swung eagerly towards him. There was no blinking light that would denote the security system proper, complete with security bots Shota really didn't want to tangle with in this form had been activated, so he felt slightly more secure in his decision to stay, at least, relatively nearby UA. At least long enough to get to the front gates. Once he did get to the front gate, he found it, predictably, shut tight, and Shota felt his tail flick behind him before he turned and stared down the street away from UA. Most buildings were relatively short around UA. It hadn't been built in a central location. But as Musatafu had grown, the city had crept further and further around UA. Still, with the magnitude and regularity of explosion, artificial earthquakes, and other similar things that came out of UA, it took a hardy sort of person and a hardy sort of building to set up nearby. Hardy and without external bits and bobs for, say, a person turned into a house cat to climb. After a great deal of try and failing to make it even above the ground floor windowsill, Shota gave up for the time being, found a porch with a hole beneath it, and curled up to sleep and rest the night away on the bare dirt. It was not the first time he slept on the ground, nor did he expect it to be the last. It was far more comfortable to sleep on the ground as a cat than it had ever been as a person. So easy, in fact, that Shota slept longer than he should have. He woke up to blink blearily at the light streaming in from the cracks in the porch above him, footsteps tromping over the wooden slats. He was only briefly disoriented by his small size and unfamiliar location before remembering what had happened the night before. With a stifled groan, Shota rolled himself onto his feet and slithered out from under the porch. There was so much dust clinging to his fur that he looked more gray than black now, and he was quite ready to get this whole thing cleared up. "Kitty!" Shota glanced up at the unfamiliar voice and found himself face to face with a little girl, maybe 8 or 9, with short stubby antlers and a deer-like nose. She was grinning at him ear to ear, revealing she was missing her upper left canine tooth. "Another one?" The much older voice said. "Oh dear, why don't you bring it up here, Haru?" "I got you, kitty, little girl," Haru said before scooping Shota up into her arms like he was a baby. Shota sighed in irritation and wriggled in her hold, squirming out of her arms to drop onto the ground again. "Oh no!" Haru gasped. "Are you okay, kitty?" "What's wrong?" The older woman, undoubtedly Haru's mother, stepped out of the house and onto the porch. She too had antlers, though hers were huge, branching things that easily 5 or 6 points on each side. He fell on his back, Haru said. He's probably scared of his wits, her mother said calmly. Because of UA's security box? Haru provided security, her mother corrected. Quite likely. Hello there, kitty. He's got quite interesting eyes, solid black. I think they're pretty, Haru chirped. Can we take him to the shelter now, please, Mama? Yes, we could take him to the shelter now, her mother agreed. Get the cat carrier if you would, Haru. Yes, Mama. Well, Shota wasn't going to stick around and get taken to an animal shelter. He got his feet back underneath him and shook himself out. Glancing around, there was still basically no way for him to get into any convenient rooftops. He'd have to hang out on the ground level near the UA entrance, but not anywhere Haru and her mother could find or catch him. That was easier said than done, especially since Shota was both small and clumsy, and Haru's deer-like mother was fast. The instant Shota made a move to leave, Haru's mother was on him, deceptively graceful as she bounded after him, closing the distance between them in the blink with a long, fluid, ground-eating strides. Shota ducked out of her hands, trying to stay near the edge of the house, and hopefully use the closer quarters to his advantage. It was the woman's house, though, and she caught him just as easily there as she would have in a long, open space beyond. Strong gloved hands closed around Shota's chest, and he cursed and squirmed, trying to reach the woman's bare skin past the edge of her gloves. She was clearly well used to holding struggling cats, though, and Shota could do little against her. The little girl skipped out of the house a moment later with a canvas cat carrier in her hand, and despite Shota's best efforts, the two of them managed to wrestle him into the carrier and zipped it close. Shota did not appreciate the way the ground dipped and tilted beneath him as the woman heft the cat carrier. He wobbled on already unsteady legs, trying to get his balance properly as she carried him down the street. There had to be something he could do here. Shota had all the intelligence and knowledge of a human adult, not to mention 15 years of being a pro hero. He wasn't just a cat, so logically, there should be a way to get out of this carrier. Nezu had done it, so Shota could too. Ignoring the fact that Nezu was likely far smarter than Shota, had been born with the body he was working with instead of spontaneously transformed, and had clever mouse-like hands instead of completely useless cat paws. Haru and her mother sat down in the bus stop, setting the carrier on the bench next to them. And now that he was finally on relatively stable ground, he could poke the front door of the cat carrier. It was closed with a zipper, which of course had the zipper pulled on the outside. But Shota could see the base of the slider on this side. His paws were too big to work it, but with some quick experimenting let him flex his paw right to stretch out his claws. Those could successfully catch on the slider, though Shota had underestimated just how much force it actually took to move a zipper. He managed to get it with a few teeth open. But it made his claw hurt, and the angle was more than a little off. Before he'd gotten the opening any wider than a centimeter, the bus came and the woman picked the cat carrier up, completely upsetting Shota's balance. He wobbled for a moment and then toppled on his side as the woman stepped up onto the bus. Shota growled under his breath and pushed himself upright, tottering back to the opening. It was pointed right at Haru now, who was hopefully too distracted to notice Shota's pawing at the zipper. With a great deal of effort, probably too much effort to be honest, he got it another centimeter open and managed to fit his paw through the opening. He still had to go slow to avoid catching the attention of either Haru or her mother, but it felt almost physically painful to slowly pry the zipper open, a tooth at a time. He didn't want the flap to fall open too much and catch Haru's attention, but he wanted it to be able to get out quickly. Shota retreated slightly from the half-open front of the cat carrier, peering through the mesh windows. It was a hot day, but some of the bus windows were still open. Just on the other side of Haru, there was a window left all the way open, and nobody sitting in the seat below it. Beyond the window was the occasional person passing close by, so there couldn't be an actual road on that side. Shota took a deep breath and steadied himself. I then tried to sink properly into the cat's body, then bolted. He shot through the opening in the cat carrier, scrambled over Haru's lap while she was still shocked and yelping, then hauled his way up onto the window sill and out. Haru's hand slapped against his tail, but she wasn't fast enough to actually grab him before Shota had disappeared through the window. He hit the ground on all fours and was immediately moving, bolting through the crowds of people. There were people everywhere, going in every direction, each one easily 6 times his height, and none of them looking down. Shota scrambled between their feet and tried not to lose track of his tail long enough for someone to step on it. After a mad dash through the crowd, Shota tucked himself against the wall and tried to catch his breath. He couldn't see a bus stopped on the street, so even if Haru and her mother wanted to come get after him, they'd have to wait until they get off the bus. That gave him some time at least. He'd need to figure out where he was and where he was trying to get to. Maybe home? He had no idea what route Haru's mother had been taking, or which shelter she'd been aiming for. But Shota knew the rough direction of 3 different animal shelters that were nearest his house, or along his patrol route. With his perceptive so close to the ground and people all around, Shota couldn't see any street signs. With how terrible his cat vision was, he suspected he'd have to forge through the crowd to get close enough to read them anyway. Shota took a deep breath, tail flicking behind him, and started through the forest of moving feet again. Cat hearing was a great boon as he dodged feet and bicycles and strollers, as he tried to just make it to the corner of the street without being stepped on, kicked, or run over by a bicycle. Fortunately, he made it with only a few close calls. And even more fortunately, he recognized both street names on the sign. He was relatively close to the police station. And not just any police station, his police station. The officers he coordinated with a lot of his missions, and most notably, Officer Sansa. There was a good chance that Sansa could understand Shota, to at least an extent, and Shota was definitely going to take that chance. If nothing else, if Sansa was completely unhelpful, Shota could at least have a decent starting point, since he had basically memorized the neighborhood around the police station. Shota locked his position in his mind, and then bolted back across the crowd of foot traffic, and clung to the wall as he started down the street. It was easier to avoid running into anyone when he was close to the wall, though he did occasionally have to hurry past open doors or skirt around drain pipes, bike racks, decorative statues, or other random objects built into or propped against the wall. Some people noticed him as he went, pointing or exclaiming to their friends, but none of them actually approached him, and should have felt safe in his decision to mostly ignore them as he focused navigating the familiar streets from such an unfamiliar perspective. And then, of course, everything went wrong. Technically, this is the alternate chapter 1, honestly, for the other series. Technically. Anyway, that is the end. Blaze, you want to tell people what you did to your viewers? You tell them your
Okay,
crime.
so I posted a Podfic, right? And um apparently it was a little bit emotionally traumatizing because when I was in the cult that Pika kidnapped me from, uh I got several people very upset at me for emotionally scarring them in yeah. So oops.
Which is very funny.
Hey, I don't really have a defense. I'm gonna stop talking before I dig myself a deeper hole.
You're fine, honestly. You want to
Hmm.
ask me a question that I could maybe get a story from? Or mention a story?
Okay, this is gonna be kind of a really, really random one, but what's the most cursed AO3 tag you've seen?
That's actually a hard question. I've been hard pressed to find a few of them. It matters your definition of
Okay,
cursed.
just name one. Name one at least.
First, answer my question. What do you mean by cursed? There are two types of
Um,
cursed. You have cursed just because the concept is genuinely cursed, or cursed because this idea is so weird or absurd that you do not know what to do with it.
the second one.
So weird or absurd you do not know what to do with it. I think I actually have it saved somewhere. Give me a second to find it. Chronically
That's a little
online.
terrifying.
I have it saved because there was going to be like this thingy. So me and somebody were finding a bunch of bullshit tags, and you know, I saved them. Where the fuck? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Harak Harakime gets a metal bat. That was a tag we found. Same with temporary organ theft.
I okay.
There are a lot in here, okay? Enemy to parent. Choking, not like
Enemy to
sexual
parent.
choking, just regular choking is a tag. Throw a rabbit at the situation and walk away. Or several rabbits. Many, many rabbits. Content warning. Rabbits. Post nuclear war. Slice of life. Those are two tags next to each other. Pre-maternal hand holding. Scandalous. I have so many of these tags, you've got no idea. You will cry about mangoes. IKEA erotica.
What?
I don't fucking know. Glitterbug, another one of my friends, found a shit ton of these too. I found a few. I think me and Glitter on call found the whole Turo Bat one. What up? I'm Jared. I'm 19 and never learned how to fucking tag things properly. Can't. I won't read that one. Let's see. Okay, that one I won't read either. Let me find other one. Let's see. What tag is this? Okay. Toneroni and
I'm
cheese.
concerned.
Toneroni and cheese.
Okay.
Give May a lightsaber and glitter bombs.
That's kind of a great tag though.
It is. Oboro isn't dead, but All for One is, and I think that's more than a fair trade.
Honestly, it is.
Original characters. They're cats. Can you tell I used to be a Warrior Cats kid? He's freshly domesticated. Was the tag I found.
I don't even want to know the context.
It's better without context, honestly. Um, Izuku Midoriya dies. He gets better. Those are next to each other.
Yep, that checks out.
Body horror, because, like, bad things happen to his body. Okay.
Well, that's body horror.
Denial. Is it just a river in Egypt? Okay. Okay, Midori Inko's bad parenting. I swear, I love her. I need plot, though. Yagi Toshinori All Might bashing. Again, I need plot. We have other
That's
problems
so
here.
fair.
Trust. Floral prompts. This was a really weird scenario I found. Okay, All Might does not have one for all quirk. Midori Izuku has one for all quirk. I don't remember where I found this scenario, but I found it on a fic. Let's see. Jumping out of windows is fun.
That's foul.
Ex-boyfriends who may or may not still be in love, Your Honor. Kaminari also drives Yaoyorozu up the wall with chess in the background. I don't know where this came from, but I found it somewhere. um, Bad fic, but this was on it. Yayozo Momo has an arm cannon and all the consequences thereof.
I'm kind of curious now.
I don't even
I'm
remember
very concerned.
I don't remember where I found that tag either. I have the reason okay, there was going to be a slideshow made with these tags. We never got to it. And I'm always looking for random tags. I should start putting more tags into this beautiful thing.
Honestly, yeah. I might DM you a few because I know some that are pretty cursed.
Please do, because if I get enough collection, well, maybe we'll get a little joke video or some shit. I don't know. But that was a fun little
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So, do check out the series to this because, you know, this is a series, and I think I'm gonna put this before all the other videos because it's technically like a prelogue, but not prelogue. It's a revert. It's like chapter 1, part 2. Alternate chapter? What would you call this? Alternate chapter?
I don't. Yeah, I would say alternate chapter.
Okay. So I'm gonna put this at the start. Um, there is some art, so if you want to actually check the series out after checking out the fic and all that jazz, do that because it's at the bottom. It's the fifth. It's the fifth case. You know, there's 5 things. We love that. Check my posts, and that's really all. You want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye. We do have a bleep there, but that was probably just his wonky deep sleep deprived percept. Okay, we're just okay.